Hey, what's up guys, it's Ari. You may be familiar with turning the 3x3 Rubik's Cube and how to finger trick it as efficiently as possible. A lot of these finger tricks are now transferable to the Megaminx, the 12-sided twisty puzzle similar to that of the Rubik's Cube, except there are some more finger tricks that I definitely recommend that you learn so you can get faster at turning and solving the Megaminx. So let's just get into it. Firstly, let's discuss the correct grip or how you should hold the Megaminx. For a right-handed person, you need to put your left hand as your kind of like anchorage point, the thing that holds the cube, so your right hand can turn freely, allowing you to turn as efficiently as possible. To get into the correct grip, what I like to do is put my pinky on the bottom here on the D face. The fourth, second and third fingers are around the back here, and then the thumb is on the front. I kind of shift my ring finger at times up a little bit higher, so these two fingers are free to do moves, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. For the right hand, your right hand stays on the R layer, so it can do R and U moves and F moves, and it's pretty free to move around the right layer while the left hand holds the actual dodecahedron. And for left-handers, you just mirror the same grip with your right hand becoming the anchorage point. Now onto U and U prime. This is the simplest move, I think. U is done with the right index finger. U prime is done with the left index finger, and you just pull across like so, similar to that on the 3x3. For R moves, for right-handers, you will have your right hand on the right face and it just moves up and down like so. For left-handers, just mirror this again. Now putting R and U move finger tricks together, what you can do in cases where you have to do an R and a U is a pinch move like you would do on a 3x3 in, let's say, a T-perm. Here, put your index finger on the top like so, do an R move, then kind of pinch forward to do the U move. Quickly, that looks like this. And in context of an algorithm, it looks like this. There's another one at the end of this alg. For R2 and R2 prime, you will sometimes just start from the regular grip and regrip. Sometimes you might need to start by regripping, doing an R2, and then coming back. But for other cases, for instance, where I need to insert this pair into the back right, I will do kind of a softer regrip where I shift my thumb from the front here up to the top, do the R2 prime, U2 prime, and then my thumb will stay on the bottom here and come back to R2, and then I can soft regrip back to home grip. There are also L or L prime moves, which you can do with your left hand. What you'll need to do in some cases is kind of move your hand over and do the L moves like so. But then in other cases, you can also do it with like your index finger and your thumb pushing it this way. Now onto F and F prime, some pretty important finger tricks. For an F move, it kind of depends what case or what algorithm that you're using or where your hand is gripped. There's a couple of things you could do. Put your index finger up on top of here and kind of push down like so for an F move. Or you can move your thumb down here and do an F move. For an F prime, you can do the same thing but with your left index finger, so you move your left index on top here and push down like so. Or you can use your thumb in the right hand, and this is a lot more stable for an F prime in comparison to an F with the same finger trick, because your left hand is kind of anchoring the cube, so your right hand can come down here and just do an F prime, in comparison to having to move over here, risking some misalignment of sorts. In context, with a J perm for instance, I will do a R, pinch move, R prime, and then do an F prime with my left index like so, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, and then do an F move by pulling down like so, R2, U prime, R prime. The next finger trick is U2 and U2 prime double flicks. This is the same from 3x3. So what you'll want to do is put your index finger at the back here and your third finger up here, do a U, and then do another U move with your third finger here immediately afterwards. So quickly, that looks like this. And another important finger trick that is maybe less applicable on 3x3, but it's quite important here on Megaminx, as U2 is not equal to U2 prime, is a lefty double flick. So that's why from earlier, sometimes I will shift my ring finger up a little bit to give it a bit more stability, while I have these two left, second and third fingers free on my left hand. So what I can do now with this fourth finger and fifth finger here, giving it the stability with the thumb here, is put my index finger on the back like so, do a U prime, and then another U prime. Quickly, it looks like this. It's pretty important for a lot of last layer cases. For instance, this edge permutation algorithm here, where the edge needs to cycle around clockwise. What you can do is a R2, U2 prime with the double flick there, R2 prime, U prime, R2, and then there's another double flick with the left hand, R2 prime. So quickly, it looks like this. Another U2 or U2 prime heavy algorithm is this one here. It's a corner permutation where none of the corners are actually solved, and for this algorithm, you need to use U2 and U2 prime flicks to solve it efficiently. There's a lot of double flicks in that one. So definitely get used to doing U2 and U2 prime double flicks. Next is Eidos U2 and U2 prime especially. It's a very useful finger trick for when maybe your right hand is unable to do a U2, so you can use your left hand to do an Eidos, which will do a U2 in a single move. For a U2 Eidos, what you need to do is put your index finger on the front here, push, and then push again like so. This should be a very nice and fluid movement. This is important for an edge permutation case like this one, where it's a counterclockwise case and you need to do a U2, and your right hand, if you are trying to do it regripless, might end up over here and is unable to go do a U2 unless you regrip it and then regrip again. So in this case, it'll be a R2, U2 with an Eidos, R2 prime, U, R2, U2 with another Eidos, R2 prime. So quickly, it looks like this. Also, there's the regular Eidos where you pull towards yourself rather than pushing away from yourself. In my opinion, it's probably less useful, but some other Megamixes I'm sure will argue that this is quite a useful finger trick as well. So all you need to do for this finger trick is do a U prime and then just pull across like so. Jeremy seems to use this finger trick quite a lot. All right, I'm gonna hand it over to Jeremy of the JavaCuber YouTube channel. He's a lot faster than me, so here's a couple more finger tricks with him.
Drag U2s are pretty hard to do, and it takes a while to get consistently good at them. I personally don't use them because I can't do them consistently, but a lot of fast people do, and it's very useful, especially in one-look PLL. However, for this alg specifically, you can actually do something slightly different to get around the drag U2 as well. You start by re-gripping, which doesn't take that long, and then you start with an R2 prime, and then do the alg. And this way, you can do U2 double flicks instead of having to do a drag U2 or re-gripping a ton using the alg that I showed first. As I said earlier, drag U2s have a lot of applications in one-look PLL. For example, for this B perm, you can execute the algorithm like this, and then do a drag U2 here, and that makes the entire algorithm re-gripless, and it's a lot faster than trying to do a re-grip into a double flick or any of the other alternatives. The next finger trick is thumb, D, and D prime pushes. Now this only really has a use when you do commutators for last layer. So for example, here we have a 5 cycle, and to do commutators on this, instead of rotating to take that out, we're doing this weird index push. I find it best to do a thumb, D prime, and D. I'll just show what execution of that looks like. So this way, when you're doing commutators, you're not really overworking any fingers because your left thumb can take care of a lot of things, and you can do commutators pretty quickly. Lastly, we have this index finger BR prime, which is like this. You could also use your middle finger for this. It depends on whichever one you find more comfortable. I personally like to use my middle finger. And this is mostly used when you're backsledging for last layer. So here, if we do a normal insert, then we're gonna get one edge, and you'd have to do a longer alg to solve that OLL. But instead, we can backsledge like this, and that gets us a much better OLL case. So this can be kind of difficult to get used to, especially if you have normal grip here. You're gonna have to kind of reach over here to grab that corner and pull it. But once you can do it consistently, then it can be a great option rather than ending up with a dot case or a one edge case. Now this finger trick can also show up in F12 and S12, although it's a lot less common and I don't use it as often. For example, if we're trying to insert this pair into this slot in the back, instead of rotating here, then doing that standard solution, or rotating and then doing something like this, we can do an R prime to bring this slot up, then U, BR with that finger trick, and then solve that. So this is really weird, and it might take some time to get used to, but by inserting a pair into the back, you're able to look at all of these other pieces, which can help you with look ahead.
Thanks, Jeremy. Definitely check out his channel for some more Megaminx tips and hardware reviews as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new on the Megaminx here. If you have any questions, do leave them down in the comments below. Again, thanks to Jeremy for featuring in this video. You can check him out in the card above. Hit like and get subscribed for more Megaminx videos like these. Use code ARI at speakeepshop.com for a discount at checkout, and check out this Megaminx video here on some sub 1 minute Megaminx tips. Thanks for watching.